Recording. Good morning, everyone. I love that new thing now. It says this meeting is being recorded. I think that's a new law, so everyone knows that it's being recorded and you actually can approve it, that you're okay with that. So I just want to welcome all of you. Welcome to this is actually Tuesday Talk, and I'm excited because we're actually live streaming to our Facebook group in the portion. And normally this is a cafe call for our cafe members, but we're just kind of sharing today. Brenda is normally the host of Tuesday Talk, and she has amazing guests and roundtables and just such great discussions. She's finishing up her last week of a vacation. She will be back next Tuesday. I believe Bonnie Manning will be her guest, who is an amazing author, amazing woman. And she'll be back with her next Tuesday, and life will be right again. Brenda will be back, and we'll all be back in. So please, if you take a minute, send her a little message, tell her you missed her. You're not bothering her. She would love to hear from you. Who doesn't love to be missed, right? So love you. Gosh, we have a bunch of women over here live with us on Zoom, our cafe ladies that hop in. And if you're over in Facebook watching us on the replay or live, please say hi to us so that we know you're there. Just saying hello. We've got I can't tell you how much I'm appreciating all of you in Facebook and our members that are going in and doing the survey for us, even telling us the things sometimes, when it's your baby and you're hearing stuff, you're like, ee! But can I just say thank you. I do want to hear the bad stuff, and I want to hear what can we do better, and what we haven't done well, because we did have a pretty big growth spurt in a year, and so we don't want things slipping through cracks. And this is the only way we can catch them, if we hear from you. We hear your voice. We want to honor it already because of what we've heard just so far. And I think so. I didn't look this morning, but there was like 15 last night. Ladies who had helped us complete that survey already. We had a team meeting yesterday. We already are going to implement something pretty big, and we're going to announce it on Thursday. So we're really excited about it. Plus, mark your calendars still for June 27th. You'll start seeing more about that, but our conference starts June 27th, and I will announce it right here. Our keynote speaker for our conference is going to be Dr. Dina Dye, and we also have some amazing women who will be also teaching that day, a lot of them already and love, but some of them are brand new and you haven't heard from. So I think that's it for my housekeeping. I am so blessed this morning. Debbie Franek is going to hang out with me this morning, and she's not just an amazing woman of God, not just an amazing woman who is a healer. She is a healer. I'll say that's the best word I know. She's a healer, but she's my friend, and I got to spend some time with her in Tennessee this summer or this winter, and it was so much fun. And I couldn't wait we were sneaking away to a hamburger place just to hang out and just having some fun time together. And I was telling her it was so amazing because of the portion, because of the Rooted Cafe. I would have never known Debbie, because I ended up having a conference. She ends up being part of it. She's involved in these group of women who the Lord has just brought me in with them, and been able to meet her. And I thought, gosh, a year ago, I didn't know her. A year ago, we weren't friends, and I feel like we've been friends forever. So welcome this morning, Debbie. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Charlie, for having me. I feel the same way. A year is a long time, but yet it's not. And when you and I pick up the phone and talk, it's like we were together yesterday. And I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad that we're on this journey together, because we need sisters.
Yes,
We need
yes.
sisters.
Yes, we were blessed. We got to participate with a conference back in February together with the women in South Africa, and part of that conference was around it was the Purim conference, and Debbie did an amazing job at the end for all of us in the United States, taking us through biblical oils. And she does do a teaching once a month in the cafe on biblical oils for us. And so that's new for our cafe. She's just starting with us, so we get to go through that, and super excited about each month as it comes up. But something different's kind of happening for you, Debbie. What's going on?
You want to start with that? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what? No. Let's go. Wait. Let's start with, how did you come to Torah? Like, how did this all start for you?
So back in 2000, uh, I usually say that Father arrests me because that's how he gets my attention. You know, like when you're going along and you're like, whoa, stop, you know, it's like an arresting feeling, like, oh my goodness, as if you were being like held up. And so I had met some ladies and we lived in the same neighborhood and we would go to the beach. There was a private beach. We'd take our kids and they were all Catholic, and there's you know, none of this is bashing, so it's really good. And they're like, you know, my husband grew up Catholic, and they're like, why don't you go? Because I had questions, and I had been raised Lutheran, so backdoor Catholic, and I'm allowed to say that because that's my past. And so they were like, well, why don't you go to the church and take some classes? And we were married 10 years at that time, and I was like, you know, that's, yeah, I probably should, just to kind of see what is Catholicism all about. But I said to my husband, you're going to go with me. This isn't, I'm not doing this alone. Because he was always, we were both always filled with the Holy Spirit, but didn't know, didn't understand, you know. So anyway, did that. These were my friends, and they all, many of them homeschooled. And one of them in particular is like, you should totally homeschool. So she talked to me about homeschooling. And I was like, yeah, I could probably do it. So I did it for about a month during the summer. My daughter was in a Montessori school for preschool because my kids are like 2 years apart. So it worked great. Father had us there for many reasons. And so she's like, you need to homeschool. I did it for a month. And I'm like, yeah, she's not going to listen to me. So I put her back in the Montessori school for her kindergarten year. They moved her to first grade. And then Father said in January, no, you're going to homeschool. And I'm like, fine. Okay, I'll do it. But you have to do it because I have no idea what I'm doing. You know, I was more of a baby Christian. Yeah, I see that happy face, that crack up face, because that's truly like, I just didn't know what I was doing. And how was I going to do this? How was I even equipped to be a teacher? You know, I did some college, but my husband and I, we had a business. You know, we didn't need college. So what do? I'm like, hun, you've got to be with the kids. I drive my little self down, and it was probably a Saturday because we didn't know Torah back then. And I sat in the Christian bookstore. I literally pulled off as many books as I could about homeschooling, about what did Jesus do when he walked the earth? Because that's what, when I said, okay, I'll do it, but you have to show me how to do this, I heard him say, when I asked, how do I do this? What do I even do? He said, do what I did when I walked the earth. And I'm like, oh, what is that? Right? What is that?
That's
So,
loaded. That was loaded, right?
oh,
Like,
totally loaded.
So I have the what would Jesus do bracelet, but how would Jesus walk? Okay, let's go there.
Yeah. So one of the books that I pulled out was Robin Simpson's book, The Biblical Holidays, right? I'm sure we've all seen it, maybe even have it. So I'm sitting there, and that is the book that I walked out with. I'm like, okay, this is like great. This is curriculum. This is, you know, everything I needed. So that first year, we celebrated our first Passover. And I had a friend who was already Torah observant, whatever that means to anyone, right? We're all trying, we're all working towards that.
Yeah, I've now deemed myself Torah pursuant. So
yes, yes.
Someone says, "Are you Torah observant?" I'm like, "Not yet, but I'm Torah pursuant." So
yeah. So that first year we did Passover, and then we just kept learning about the feasts. And the next year we did Passover. We had it at the church we were at. I helped organize it all. We had a Israeli man and his wife come and do it. It was fabulous. Did the church embrace it? Not necessarily. So that's how we got started. And the rest is history. And it's just been 1 year at a time. And did we immediately leave the church? No. Did we immediately start doing all the feasts? No. He's very gracious with me. He knows I need it slow and methodical and kinesthetically, like I have to walk it out, you know? And so it took a journey of about 10 years until we finally said, okay, no more of that. And we stopped going to the Christian church um, and just continued on this journey. So that's how we started, Charlie.
You know what? It's funny because I have spent time with you, and if you want to spend time, please reach out to me, private message me. I'd love to. I want to hear your story. So I've been lately talking to 1 or 2 ladies a day just to get to know all of you, and I'm going to say, um, I'm trying to think if there's an exception. One exception so far has been everyone else has said, well, I jumped on to his calendar. Like that seems like you basically the book you picked up, you were like, you picked up his, for those of you who don't know, I kind of live and die by my planner. Like I have my planner, I live and die by my planner. And it's on my phone. I do transfer things to my phone, but for the most part, it's all right here. I write all over it. And basically, when you said I picked up that book, I thought you picked up his planner. You picked up the one I use is the Passion Planner. It's the one that I like. It works for me the way it's set up. But I was like, you really picked up his Passion Planner. Like it was the feast, the holidays, and Debbie, I feel like that's where most people say. I mean, for me, he hit me at Passover. Like again, most people know this. I say it all the time. My story was that there was 3 weeks between Easter and Passover, and I didn't understand it. So I went in to research why. And at the time, I was interim pastoring for a church, and it was like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? And I'm hearing you say the same thing. I had one exception. We had one young lady. She told me that someone told her to watch a video, and basically but it still was revolved around the feasts and the holidays. And for her, the same thing is once you hop onto his calendar, the rest just starts happening little by little. Tell me about that first Passover. I want to hear about what that looked like.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it was so beautiful. So it was very small because it was just us and another friend of mine, her and her husband and her little girl, and my son and her daughter, the same age. And we did it at the kitchen table. They were familiar, they had been doing this. So
Okay.
they led it and we participated. And I'm telling you, it was just the most meaningful holiday that we had ever had up to that point.
What made it so meaningful?
Learning about him throughout each part of it, asking, why did we leave Egypt? Why is this special? And
Right.
each cup, and just learning about, wow, this is what he did. This is what he did. And he did it for us, because I'd already gotten that part of it. Like I knew.
But had you ever had that from Easter? Like I never got that from Easter. I remember my first Passover distinctly. And halfway was drunk. I'm just not going to, let's be full disclosure. We didn't know you had to use the little cups. So we had big cups and we were all freaking out like, oh my gosh, hurry up and drink. We have to go to the next cup. And then gosh, I thought, Father, forgive us. It's like a drinking game or something. We didn't mean to. We weren't doing it on purpose. But so, and here I am, little Pentecostal girl where I wasn't even ever allowed to drink. So this was like freaking me out. Like, oh my gosh, I get to have wine. Like, this is crazy. And I was, and it was the same thing though, but as we were going around, just the beauty of all of it. And then we shared our own testimonies and just never had I had that experience of Messiah in Easter. Now, I have been to some beautiful Easter cantatas. I have sang and been in some beautiful Easter cantatas that were emotional. They were filled with, it was beautiful. I mean, my church did, the church that I pastored at as a women's pastor, it was huge. And we did this, everyone from all around came to our events, and our big Easter event was amazing, and it was, full of flying angels and real animals and all the things, right? So, but nothing was like this little intimate thing with 6 people around my table. There was nothing like it. And you guys know, we passed around our iPad and read the Haggadah, like with our, we didn't even know what it was called, but we just like read the script, we just read it. And we each took, the men read their things, and we would be like, yes, we do. We did the whole thing. We were, it was fun. It was just good. It was really intimate. And it's interesting that that's what kind of grabs us all now, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and let me tell you, like, I was the one, we for Christmas, because we were still doing all those holidays, I was the one that would bake the cake, the Jesus happy birthday cake. And I was already out there with the family because they thought I was crazy, you know. So then coming into this, it's like, whoo, now they
We
really.
did the same thing on Christmas Eve. We did our birthday cake for Jesus and saying happy birthday. And we said he let us have the presents. So that's why,
Well, my daughter was born, my first was born December 21st.
okay.
So she always felt gypped. So, but I wanted that time to be special because that's what we were celebrating. We thought was his birth. So we were celebrating him. And that's when Father was just like, okay, you're mine. Let's go. So, yeah. And now that second Passover, the one at the church, there
Yeah.
were about 300 people there because it was our
Wow.
homeschool group. It was some of the church. I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
And let's, in full disclosure, I've had some Passovers that weren't so great. I mean,
Mhm.
when I had my granddaughters and was our first one trying to get it, not knowing that I could rewrite and make my own Haggadah that was like, which is the script, or is all the things to go through. It's kind of like your program for going through Passover, that I could actually rewrite one that actually would be more child friendly. I
Mm.
was that, because I like attached myself to the to the religion of the Torah and not the God of the Torah. So I was like, I have to do this by the book, literally. And so now, so then when we did it with the kids, they were just like, so, ooh, not fun, mom. Can we eat yet? Why can't we eat yet? And now we can make it fun where we're throwing cotton balls, like the hail, and the kids get to throw cotton balls, and they can throw little, find little grasshoppers or whatever, and they can throw things, and or cows, they can play with the cows on the table. So it's interactive and you can
Mm.
make it fun. It doesn't have to be rigid. Have you found that with your family through the years now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, every single every single feast becomes that, you know? I mean, it
Hmm.
starts with Passover, but each one we just, you know, we get to know him more and it becomes that party.
It does, right? So one of the reasons why one of the reasons we're doing the next conference is because when we're doing it, and the name of the conference is going to be While She Waits. And the reason for that is because it's a season between when we just finished Shavuot. Everyone's kind of finished up Shavuot this last week, and now we have this season where there's nothing really going on. We go into the summer, and there's this waiting. This is interim before we go into the high holy days. When we go into that, what happens in that waiting period, what happens while we're waiting. um that's what and I thank you, because for everyone knows, Debbie will be one of our speakers at the conference, and speaking to us about biblical oils, and going through that process with us, how we get to apply things to our life for healing, because truly that waiting time is a healing time. And before we move on, I want to say, our friend Deborah Flanagan says all the time, if someone asks her, and I've adopted many of her sayings now, but she'll tell people, if they say, oh, why do you do that? And she'll say, I just do what Jesus did. If he did it, I did it. If he didn't do it, I don't do it. If he ate it, I eat it. If he didn't eat it, I don't eat it. So I just do what Jesus did. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like hard, I love that, because it keeps it simple, and you just keep moving on, and you don't have the back, because if people really want to know, it's more than a quick conversation or a message on Facebook or something. We're not supposed to have these useless arguments with people, but we can just say something that simple, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to hear what's happening now. So you and I were at the Passover conference. Speaking of Passover, good segue.
Mhm.
We were at the Passover conference, and what happened with you there?
So Halisa talked about a word, and I grew up on Clearwater Beach. So we played Kadima. It's paddle ball, in the water with a floating ball, and you paddle it back and forth. Well, she talked about the word Kadima and what it meant. I'm not going to give you all that because I didn't write it all down. You can go listen to Jacob's Tent and get it, the conference. But she said what it means is when he tells you to go, you go now. And I was like, okay, it really stuck. Well, then my daughter, her and her husband uh, went to South Carolina for him to go on a job interview with, it's not Elevation Church, but they're under that umbrella. And there's 13 campuses out there apparently. And so to be a worship pastor. So they go out there and they come back and they come here. Uh, yeah, that night because it was late and stuff. So, and they tell us, well, we're going to be moving. He's accepted the job and we're going to be moving. And he reports there May 3rd. And we're like, okay. So we're sad, as any parent would be, right? She's the only one that lived close to us, about an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour, which isn't too bad because they would come up here all the time. We'd go down there. But so, I told her, I said, well, I'm really sad that you're
Yeah.
going, but I'm really happy for you. So that was a Wednesday. So Thursday, I go to teach because I teach at a physical therapy clinic. And so I teach in the morning there on Thursdays. And I get home, and my husband says, uh, so I talked to Joy, or I messaged Joy, and I let her know that we're probably going to have another rental for her. And I was just like, what? And he says, well, hold on. So she got back to me and she said, oh, great. We'll probably have somebody moving the middle of May, like May 15th. Now, just to give you backstory, we work with Joy. She places people in homes for the government. For like one of our homes, he's a recruiter for the Army. So she places people in homes. And I just looked at him and went, you what? I don't even know what to say to you. Like, we didn't even talk about this. I mean, this is Thursday after my daughter says she's moving on Wednesday. And I just, I said to him, I said, I need to be quiet. I need to digest this. Like, what are you thinking? No, don't talk to me. you know,
I may
all the,
kill you. I may kill you. Yeah.
yeah, all the things, right? And I'm just shaking my head and I'm like, ah. And so we get through that, and I was quiet. I didn't, fly off the handle. Thank you, Father. Um, so Friday comes and I'm ready. I'm okay to talk about it now. And I'm like, all right, well, we've talked about this because we have two children that live over by Nashville and they're about 25 minutes from each other. And we've talked about it for 4 years, 3, 4 years about moving over that way. So we have talked about it, but it was just a shock.
It wasn't totally out of the blue.
Exactly.
What kind of?
Yeah. On that day. So Friday we start talking about it. And by Shabbat, I'm like, well, why don't we just drive over there? Let's call our daughter, see if we can come visit. And then our son, he was off. He's a fireman over there. And so he was off that Sunday. So we drive over on Shabbat and we're just driving around looking because we're like, well, what area would we want? We've looked at different things and we made plans with our daughter to go to her house for dinner Shabbat night. So we go there and my son and my son-in-law were there talking, and he's like, well, I just came out of the gym with Caleb, this guy we know, and he wants to sell me his house for what he paid for it. He just wants to get out, blah, 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 blah. Do you want me to see if he would do the same for you? And do you want to look at it? And we're like, well, sure. So we go to my son's on Sunday, spend the day with him, and go look at this house at 4 o'clock Central Time. And it's a nice house.
And like, this is only 3 days later, 3 days from the Thursday you said, he
Yes.
said, hey, we're moving. Yeah.
Yeah. So we look at the house, we like it. We're like, okay, we're going to talk about it. We'll get back to you the beginning of the week. So we go home, and my husband in Florida had become a realtor, told him to for like 30 years, you know, and he finally did. And then we move up here. Anyway, so he does all his real estate stuff, you know, how much is it? How much is it worth? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, babe, it's a really good deal. Like, this is really good. We should do it. I'm like, okay. So then Friday, we go over and sign the contract. And we're moving. And the contract date is June 10th. But with a verbal that we could close earlier. Well, that didn't happen because they needed more time. So here we are, we're moving. So it's like back to Passover. Abba says, it's time, you need to go. And he just opened the door and did it. You know, he knows that we need him to do things for us. Just like how he got us up here, whole different story, you know. So yeah, that's what he's doing now. And, you know, I was telling you when we talked about, you know, this is the month of Savan, walking, right? We walk, we go forward, and I'm like, haha, you're so fun. He's moving us, he's making us walk, he's doing this. And then, you know, I taught in the biblical oils class for the month of Savan about spiritual freedom. And he's doing that too, because going back to the story about my daughter and her moving to South Carolina, that is a huge spiritual freedom for our family. Huge. Generationally. Because even though I was a sad mom, right? You know, like, oh, my daughter's moving, you know, I'm not going to see her as much. I'm not going to see my grands as much. Like, I'm so excited for her. Like, it just bubbles up in me. And I'm like, I'll text her and I'm so happy for you, you know? And he showed me even last week, the reason that all of this had to happen for her moving and all of this is to break the generational bondage. Because even today at 53, my mom still, we love our moms. It's not that, but that's her deal. She still makes me feel guilty for moving, you know, for growing up, getting married, moving out, you know, all those things. And then when we moved to Tennessee, it's like, oh goodness, you know.
Yeah.
So my daughter moving over there is like, Father has broken so many chains, so many generational curses with me and my family. And this is just another layer that he's like, it's done. It's done. That freedom is there. And like, even this morning, she was, she posted on Instagram. I happened to be on there. Like, I'm not usually on there at that hour in the morning, but I was. Because I was pulling up music and I saw her thing come through, and they're heading to, they do a group worship. So if you've ever watched Elevation Music, it's kind of like that, where they're all just standing around having a good time and singing, you know, it's joy.
It's like a jam. It's like a people when they just have a jam session, but they have like a worship jam session.
Yeah. And it's all the leaders from the different, you know, 13 campuses and stuff. And I'm like, hey, where are you going? And she's like, oh, we're going down to Charleston. And I'm like, oh my gosh, have a super blessed day, because this is like awesome. You know, my son-in-law is so anointed, and he's getting to do what he needs to do, which is another spiritual thing that Father's working in his life, you know. And breaking bondage, breaking chains, and I'm just like, Abba, you're so good. Like,
So you haven't even talked about the best part. When you told your other daughter, you're like, hey, we're moving to Nashville. This is what's happening. What happens there?
So, God is so good. He's so good because he gave me two daughters. And that way I could understand women and love and learn how to love better. And so this daughter, like, we're like two peas in a pod. And so we're letting her know. And she's like, so, Mom, you're going to do new moon over here, right? I'm like, yes. She's like, and what about Bible study? You're going to do Bible study, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she says, so what are you going to do? I'm like, so he's talking to me right now and I'm taking notes. I'll let you know when I know. And yeah, so she's super excited. And, these two, my son and daughter that live over by Nashville, they always, pretty much my son, every time I would see him, he would be like, Mom, you can move over here. You can move over here anytime. And I have a friend who, when I told her that, she said, Debbie, that is amazing because that means that his wife is good with that. And
Yeah.
that's huge because I love her like a daughter. We've prayed, you ladies have prayed, I'm sure, from the time you had, even before you conceived, for your children's spouses, or maybe you didn't and you started whenever you became a believer. So I have prayed for her, you know, for all these years. And for him to continually say that, it was such a blessing for my friend to tell me this because she's like, it was like a confirmation that I needed that Father spoke through her of that means his wife is good with it. Like she wants that.
Right.
That's huge. So yeah. So
I
good.
have my granddaughter watched some little show, and the other one yesterday, she says the 3-year-old is talking about the 5-year-old. She says, Mom, um, Eliza she got married and she kissed whatever his name is, and he gave her a horse when they got married. And she's like, what? Eliza can't get married. She's only 5. Yes, she's old enough. She's 5. And she's not allowed to kiss boys. Well, she's 5. She can kiss boys when she's 5. This is the 3-year-old. She says, and she has a horse. Who gave her the horse? I think his name is Jim. Jim gave her the horse. Hold on, let me call him, her cell phone. Let me call him and find out. And I said, well, you need to have them call me tonight. We are FaceTiming because we need to talk about this because I pray over them all the time about, that their husband right now, I pray for their parents, the parents of my granddaughters, um, uh, of their future husband's parents. I'm praying for them that they would have wisdom, that if they're having marital issues, that the Lord would protect them, that there would not be shame. They would be guarded from shame in their lives. Their homes would be built and strong. And ladies, we need to start praying for our future grandchildren's now at 53, my future grandchildren's significant others, their husbands or wives. And I'm excited that we get to do that. I mean, we get to pray for them. And so, and I know that it will come to fruition. So I get to talk to my grandbabies today. I'm going to be like, listen, sister, you can't get married until you're older, and he has to love God. And I don't think Jim loves God. Does Jim love God? Because this is the first place we have to start, because he has to love God more than anything, right? How did you start, getting into, like, I know you're teaching biblical oils. Can you kind of tell, what does that mean? Like, some people are like, what is biblical oils? I was going to say heck, but Simi was like, what does heck mean? Our Venezuelan friend. What does the
Oh,
word heck mean?
I totally forgot to tell her when I talked to her this morning what that meant.
We were all giggling, and I'm getting messages back from Tamara. She's like, am I allowed to say what that means? And so she said HE double hockey sticks, and then you see Gail Heaton going, like a woman, like she already doesn't get what heck means. Do you think she's going to understand what that means? Our, you're taking her.
Yeah.
Gosh, smartest woman I know, by the way. Simi is smartest woman I know. She's doing so many healing things right now. A lot of you that don't know, she has this amazing, also a healer, also amazing mind healing, and just amazing. So tell us what does biblical oils mean? Speaking of biblical oils, if you see me, I'm rubbing peppermint on, and I just got some in my eye, so I'm sitting here going like,
Oh no.
if you saw me do this, it's because I was smelling it, and then I touched my eye by accident. So
Get some carrier oil for your eye.
yeah,
We'll let you get up.
it's almost gone. It's almost gone. I'm good.
Good. So, Father has had me in the health arena since our daughter, our oldest, was probably about 2 years old. She got bronchitis. And that same friend that introduced me to the Passover and the feasts, she asked me one day, or we were talking about my daughter having bronchitis, because she would seem to get this year after year. I guess once you've had it the first time, then you can get it again and again and again. And she said, well, why don't you go and seek what a veterinarian would do? And I just looked at her like, are you crazy?
What?
What? She said, yeah, because they go to the root, because they help animals. So they go to the root versus just covering up. So, oh my, that just opened up all the gates, everything. And we started really looking into natural, what can we do? What did Father put here on the earth for us? And so we played with oils throughout the years. And then I really started learning more about them and how they can work with the body and help the body. And I went through my aromatherapy course and became certified aromatherapist. And there's different views on how to use them, how much to use. I say less is better. Internally, not internally. There's different thoughts. Be guided by the Holy Spirit. Get with someone that knows what they're talking about and can help. And so he just started teaching me about the oils, plants, herbs. I've studied herbs for probably 20 years. And, the oils are a concentration of that herb or that plant or that tree. And they have effects. The side effects, so to speak, are not side effects as in a negative, they're side benefits. So yeah, he's just continuing to teach me through them what they're for, physically, mentally, spiritually, releasing emotions. Simi and I, we do different techniques, and she's actually teaching me about her new venture. And so, smell is a sense that is so powerful. Think of smelling, you walk through a mall and you smell something and it takes you right back to grandma's house, or right back to, the field where the orange blossoms were, that you were there when you were 7.
Right.
They're powerful.
Very.
So yeah, just continuing to learn about them. And the biblical oils, there's mentioning of them in the word, and specific ones, cinnamon and cedarwood and all those. But all of his plants are good for us.
We laugh because it's always, most of the people on here, there's a lot of people on here who are, say you're all oily, and if you're from the Southeast, it's called you oil. And I'm like, what are you saying? It's like oil. They're like, no, oil. Your oils. Grab your oils. And you say, oh, there's an oil for that. There's an oil for that. one of the things my husband has, he has a intense, he was a, for those of you who don't know, he was an Army Ranger, jumped out of way too many planes and helicopters, a lot of compression injuries, spine, knees, feet, everything. So he'll have spouts of this extreme, extreme, extreme pain. And we've gone through all the medical routes, of in short, and then, the VA will want to dose you up on, if they started out Vicodin, right? They just handed out Vicodin like candy. And then now they're, then they wean you all off and then you have no pain management. Well, what we've gone to is acupuncture and cupping, which we had a beautiful Seventh-day Adventist girl who, she was our chiropractor and I called her my magical unicorn. She was a chiropractor and an acupuncturist. And she would do cupping on days when he would just be, but what we do now when he has severe nerve pain or severe pain, he lays down, we use the deep blue because it has a bunch of stuff in it. And then we put, I do cedarwood, and I do things, and we just kind of do up his spine and on the bottom of his feet. And it's the only thing that helps. Now, sometimes I throw the kitchen sink at it when it's just like out of control, because just to stop the pain cycle. But knowing to do it every 2 to 3 hours, you don't just do it once and go, well, that didn't work, but doing it every 2 or 3 hours, and he'll sleep where he can't sleep. The pain goes away. I had a crazy, crazy infection where they told me I was going to lose my eye. And if I didn't do something, and I'll tell you, this lady just happened to come to our congregation and met Brenda, and she is actually has a doctorate degree in and she has she just, I think, just got her PhD, but she's working in she worked for an oil, she did oils, and she was talking to Brenda about it. So she got to know her. So she is Torah pursuant, and then introduced. So I called her friend up, who's like, she knows, she goes into like Haiti when there's helping people with oils about cholera, and she goes in there and helps in emergency situations with not just oils, tinctures, all the things. So I called her and said, I'm going to lose my eye. I don't want to take an antibiotic. What do I need to do? And she just had me put, I put coconut oil on my eye, just on the bottom of my cheek. And then I put frankincense, marjoram, and oregano. And I did that every 3 hours. And the next morning when I went back to the doctors, because they were basically like, you're going to lose your eye, he went, wow, the antibiotics are working really fast. I'm like, yeah, I didn't take those. And it was gone. And it was gone. I didn't lose my eye. The infection, I mean, it was like green and black pus were literally pouring out of my eye because I touched something, and I used to touch my eye. So that's why I usually wear glasses all the time now, so that I can't touch my eyes after that happened. But I had touched something somewhere, handle or door, and then rub my eye. And so not only that, some of you also know, full disclosure again, I have, used to get panic attacks really bad. I'd go anxious and then have these panic attacks where I feel like everything was coming in on me and I couldn't breathe. And someone had told me, just take bergamot and put it over your heart. And it was just the smell. It shocked my olfactory, and the smell of that and over my heart, it works every time. So if you know someone struggling with that, get them a good oil, that bergamot, diffuse it if you need to. I'm using peppermint right now because I was telling the ladies, I'm pretty sure I have still have altitude sickness. I'm at 2 weeks in. I've one more week and my red blood cells should reproduce themselves. I should be okay. But yeah, I moved my head the wrong way and I'm like, whoa, I almost fall down, and the vertigo. But just peppermint, drinking all the things. I mean, what is something that you would say, people are like, oh my gosh, oils, whatever. And there's all people at different companies. We know, please choose something good. Don't go to Walmart and get peppermint oil. It's really corn oil with some peppermint smell to it. So just be mindful of where you get your oils too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, they only have to, by law, put in 5% pure
Yeah.
essential oil, and it can be other additives. So yeah. And I found that out because I ordered at the time, almost 9 years ago, from very reputable company. On their website it said pure, and when I looked at my bottle it said other ingredients, and I was like, okay.
What are the other ingredients? I like my oils to have, I don't know how we got to this, we kind of off track, but I like my oils to have, welcome to Tuesday Talk or with Charli. Brenda will be back next week. I like my oils to have a food label on them so that I know I can ingest them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's That's kind of a rule of thumb for me. For the most part, I like them all something I can ingest if I need to, it's like get it in. If I have to
Mm.
put it in a little capsule, the little, not gelatin, but the little vegetarian ones they have, you put the drops in and then take them if I have to do that. But
Right.
love it. I'm going to go through some of the comments and see if any guys have some questions for Debbie about anything. I mean, hey, we're here. And hey, Facebook, Brenda usually does a better job at this. Um, Gosh, so many things, great things. Cassie says she moved away immediately upon getting married in the military. Here was, here we are 17 years later. So thankful my mom did what you are doing. She was never once made me feel guilty, and we are best friends. Oh, I
Mm.
love that.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Mm.
She also says, my son's only 11. I pray for my future daughter-in-law all the time and that we will have a great relationship. That's beautiful. Lori Dawn says she does Brits and spurts of praying for future spouses. Sometimes I just add it in on, Shabbat when I'm praying for all the kids. You just add in that, and then it makes you. That's how I remember.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm schooling on Lori Dawn, Healing Oils of the Bible. Love that book. Would you also tell us again the name of the book that you talked about in the very beginning when I said, oh, it was the Passion Planner? What was the name of the book you picked up that you used for your school?
Robbins, is it Samson? The Biblical Holidays. It's a big, thick purple book. Yeah.
I'm writing it in here.
Yeah. It's
Robin Sampson.
it's great for kids and adults because, like our friend Deborah, it's Fisher Price, you know,
Yeah.
easy little things to do, coloring pages for the littles, and as a homeschooler, I mean, we homeschooled all the way through high school. And, you just, as you go through it each year, you can add to it, to make it deeper, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's all levels. In fact, I use that book. So we did a lot of co-ops, and we had one group from the church we were at, and the pastor's wife, she was part of our group. And one year, it was the year that Bush was getting elected, and we were studying all, consecutively, kind of like how Halissa, with the lampstand, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
layered. So we
Right?
were studying that way. We were studying leaving Egypt, so Moses, and the leaving Egypt. Then we were studying history of how America became America, true history, and then how the president and all that. And we were studying feasts, and we were actually like kind of doing them as a homeschool co-op.
Mm-hmm.
And so my role was to teach about Sukkot. And I used that book to teach why even celebrate, why even observe any of the feasts. And I remember that my friend, the pastor's wife, she sat on my couch and everybody was spread out on the couch and the floor, and um, and when I got done, she said, "Wow, we all probably should be doing those feasts." And I just looked at her and went, "Yeah, maybe," because I mean, I already knew we should at that point, and so yeah.
I just posted in the chat, and I'll post over here if you guys want to. When I post links, full disclosure again, that's my word today. Full disclosure is when I post links, it does attach itself to our we have an affiliate link with the Ruta Cafe, and then just so you know what we use that for two things. One is we have a couple young girls that work with us, and it helps support them and their families. Some of them are a couple of them are single moms, so we use that money for that. So when we post links, it's always an affiliate connection, and we helps do that. And then a percentage of that we also give to Holisa's orphanage in Africa. So just so you know where that goes when I'm posting it, we do use it as a source of income for a couple girls who are working as on our team. So when I do post that. So if you have something and you're like, hey, get me a link for that, that would be awesome because we could share the link and we have to go in. All we have to do is go in and like post that. So
Mhm.
did I accidentally like undo us from live on Facebook? Oh no, we're still live. Okay. Good. Awesome. Anybody else have any questions? Unmute yourself. We still have a few minutes. Anything you want to say? You're like, I want to talk about this.
Charlie, I just had a question. I just wondered if
Yeah.
all the stuff in the Rooted Cafe store, is that the same for the two ladies?
Yes.
Or is it just certain links? It's everything that's in the store?
Anything in the store, if you'll see, we put like all of the, sometimes when we talk about things like different books and things, we'll put them in our store so they're just easy to find. We can say, go to the store. Then you click on it, it'll take you to Facebook. So we don't fulfill the orders. Most of the, I mean, not Facebook, Amazon, and that is linked to our account. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
one of the girls working for us, it does help her a lot. So
I'm just reading through some of the comments too, and Joyce asks, would anyone be willing to share their favorite oil brands? When I went through my certification, I researched many brands, and I went with doTERRA because of the efficacy, purity, potency, and the fact that they do the testing and they give all of that to us. Like every bottle has a number on it, just like every box that you go to the store and buy has that little number, the little line deal. And you can type it in and find what testing was done and what it came out, how it came out. So I love that. And that's why I went with them, because then they're pure. Unlike the one that I had ordered from another company.
Right. There's other companies, and again, there's usually there's the two companies that are usually butting heads and suing each other for something. So we're not going to get into all that. I'm along with her. That's just the oil of choice. I'm a nurse. I did a lot of research that was not based on anybody telling me anything, on my own, kind of like Torah. A cult didn't like grab me and take me in and indoctrinate me and make me wear white with flowers in my hair. And then I turned into a Torah lady.
Right.
Same with, I did my own research. Brenda is the same. She's actually, that's what we choose. That's our oil of choice. So, I've used Young Living also. I have used that oil. I use Purify, by the way, all the time. I don't like to use, scents in my home that aren't pure scents. I don't need one more chemical going in my house.
No.
So I was thinking today, I took a bottle, I have a mist, like a little mister, and I put the water in there and I put some Purify and a little like orangey blend smell, put a couple drops of that, shook it all up, and I just opened up my closet and I opened up all our drawers and just did a misty spray on everything. And I mean, they do that in the clothing stores when you go in, it has a certain smell to it, and that purified, especially if you have dogs. I've had like 3-4 big dogs in my house at a time, and no one ever thought, I can't tell you have dogs, because I had Purify going. And I think Young Living, it's called Purification. And I've used both, and they've gone, and it just went and went. The only reason again that I like doTERRA is because of the food grade, and I ingest a lot of oils, or not a lot, but I want that option. So usually
Right.
I'm on the bottom of my feet. That's usually my thing.
Yeah, that's a great place to put them. I mean,
Yeah.
largest pores on the body, way that our circulation works, it's the best place, one of the best places to put them.
Millie asks, random questions here today. Millie asks, is there a chance of larger sizes in the store for teachers at that store? If you go in, any t-shirts that are listed there, when you click that button, you could actually pick your size, pick your everything. And we're coming up right now, we're going to be putting together anyone who's bought the t-shirts from there has said they love the quality that they picked out, but we're going to start using a different source, and we're going to do some cute t-shirts for the conference. It should be fun, the While She Waits, and we should do a t-shirt contest. People submitting. That would have to be quick. Let's do it. Start doing it. You guys send me. We're designing a t-shirt, so send me if you have a t-shirt design. Send it to me. Post it in the portion if you have an idea. The conference is called While She Waits. I would like it to have like a sunflower somewhere on it. So that's all I'll give you. Go for all my graphic designers out there. If you're kids, draw a picture for me, whatever, and take a picture of it, and I can turn it into a t-shirt. Love it. I love the malls, right? I get away from malls too because of candles and stuff, the smell of all that. I end up getting headache, my allergies. If you guys see, sometimes my eyes look like I've been smoking the wrong things. It's because I have really bad allergies. So anyways, good.
I can't go in the aisles with the soaps and stuff. I mean, I'll run in and get I make my own laundry detergent and then I add my oils to that for any fragrance I want. But in the stores, I can't go down that aisle. Like
Yeah.
I avoid it. Malls, same thing. I'll be like going through, going through the mall like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's Mary says, be careful. Yeah, be careful with your oils because there's some oils you cannot diffuse around cats and dogs. Yes, super important that you do research.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, Debbie's a good resource. She's here on the portion. You guys can friend her and message her. She does classes again, and if you're in the cafe, she does classes with us, so you have access to her on Slack back there as well. Your Facebook group, you have a Facebook group. Where can they join you there?
I do. So yes, I just, gosh, when was it? About a month ago, finished my certification for health coaching. Even though I've been doing it forever, my husband's like, "Why don't you make money doing this? Like you do it all the time." So that's why I did it.
Now you're legit.
Yeah, yeah. So I did. I started a Facebook group, and it's balancing hormones and gut health because we all need that, and it's for generations. As moms, think of the Titus 2. As moms, we're to teach and train up our children or the younger. And so I wanted it to be a platform, a community for all ages, and the older teaching the younger. What are our experiences? We may be menopausal, and give some good advice for that younger. Hey, here's what I did during this, because for every physical, in my belief, there's a spiritual. I mean, the word is very clear, on that, in my opinion. So, offering that. And so, we'll have things in there. First question I asked was, okay, tell me what's going on in your, in your world with this.
With your poop. What's happening with your poop?
Well, that too. I do talk about that a lot. Sorry, but because that's a good indicator of what's going on.
As a nurse, it's one of the first things we ask you. It's like, so let's talk about your poop, right? I wrote it out. I think I put balancing hormones and gut health. Correct? Is that right?
Balancing gut and hormones for the generations.
That's the name of the group.
Yeah.
Oh, I messed up, everyone. Don't read don't try to go there. I wrote the wrong one down.
I'll put it in there. I'll do the link.
Let me delete this crazy link. Cool. Well, thanks guys on Facebook. I'm glad you're hanging out with us. And we normally now, what we're going to do is stop recording and we go have a little after party, which happens after all of our calls, where we get a chance to talk to each other, ask things that aren't recorded, or talk about sometimes crazy things. Who knows what comes up sometimes, right? But it's real life. So I always liken it to when you'd go to church and when you got done and all the women stood around and you're talking and your husband's honking the horn and the kids are telling you they're hungry and they want to go. That's kind of what happens afterwards. We're just all hanging around, and sometimes kids are running up, pulling at us to get out, to come on, mom, stop getting on Zoom. So thanks guys for joining with us. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, Debbie, for hanging out with us and just chatting. We're just kind of chatting around to everyone again. We can't wait for Brenda to come back next week, and your Tuesday talk will be back to normal. Again, Bonnie Manning will be her guest next week, so we're very excited. So love you all, and we will see you next week.
Yes. Yay. Thank you.